According to Albert Einstein, we cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. My name is Corinna Stoffel, and I'm the host of Toward a New World. The world seems to be falling apart. Are you as frustrated as I am with the talk about how to fix things or what needs to change, yet nothing changes? In the episodes, I invite people to look from different perspectives, sometimes even contrary to the current points of view. My intention is to evoke a different level of consciousness by empowering listeners to explore what is true for them and begin to live their lives from that place, thus changing their lives and through it the world. If this appeals to you, I ask you to subscribe to the podcast on this channel. But click the button here, click the button there. How to talk about change? I have done plenty of times that I talked about theoretically the process of change, and what I'm realizing is, what the heck are you, the listener, doing with this theoretical, very sterile almost explanation of change? And so I recently had an episode that I'm sharing, contracting the timeline, etc. But I'm hoping that by sharing my process and how I go about it, that it is helpful for you with your process, which is going to be different, but you know how it's going to be different from mine by hearing mine. So I value awareness a lot. And again, at the beginning of the year, I asked to become more aware. And there is no endpoint to awareness from my perspective. And recently, I woke up, I think it was around 5 a.m., with the thought in my mind really strong, I am afraid. And I don't even know right now what it was that I was afraid of and what the context was, possibly to the context to the dream that I had or whatsoever. But waking up with that was sort of startling. And I stayed with it. And I really allowed myself to feel that sensation of fear. And tears started rolling down my face. And suddenly I saw in my mind's eye the image of a young kid, almost begging, don't be angry with me. And having that sensation of fear. And so the relationship with my parents came up. Duh, little kid, parents. And there have been a number of hurts. And yeah, to some extent, I'm over it. And to some extent, when the memory comes up or came up, there still was some sadness, some disappointment, some sense of hurt. But I have also learned a lot and understand things from a different perspective. So I forgiving now for things that hurt me, understanding of where they probably were at due to the time. I mean, both my parents lived through World War II as teenagers, second half of the teenage years. And I wondered, am I behaving in the same or similar way as they were towards me? And there was also an awareness that came that basically told me, no, I have not and I am not doing that. Um, Later in the day, that particular day, I had a course session and I needed to get present, but I had canceled everything that I had on my calendar that I didn't need to absolutely be present for, just because I chose to stay in that soup of emotions and feelings and allowing the thoughts and the images to come as they needed to come for me to get clearer on what was going on. And needing to be at that session, obviously the energy shifted. And in the evening, I went to bed early, being exhausted, not only from the intensity of the emotions, but also it had been a long day by then. And then the next day, when I woke up, I said, did yesterday happen? What was going on? I feel so much in my body, so much in my head. The energy is different, everything. So I kept checking in throughout the day. And yes, logically, I knew yesterday happened, but from a feeling level, I wasn't there anymore. And what I want to say with that is the process of change is not linear or logical. What I have learned for myself is it is utterly important to stay with the emotions, with what is going on, what is trying to come up, because it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to experience that level of fear that I felt. That little helpless kid that is almost afraid of the parents being again angry, really angry with it. It's uncomfortable. And I know how quickly most of us try to get out of that sense of discomfort by sidetracking ourselves, by doing something. And I am aware that in the meantime, that when I start to distract myself, that something is bubbling on the inside, something is ready to come up. And I may not necessarily stop distracting myself, but there is that awareness also at the same time. And I used to do it constantly. I'm not doing it as much anymore, but I'm still doing it. Let's be real. And the analogy that came when I looked at that is the first time I drove through an automatic car wash. It was the first time I didn't quite know what to expect. It's dark in there and to some extent chaotic, but you get spit out on the other side. And in the same way, you get spit out on the other side of change. And in a car wash, the car is clean. The process of a change, what that particular change, let me stay with that particular change. What it allowed me was to let go of those energies that were still stuck to me from my childhood experiences that I took on in to protect myself, or that I took on for whatever reason from my being aware of where my parents were or whatsoever, but it was still sticking to me, and it's not me. And those old defense mechanisms, as much as they were helpful when we came up with them, they are no longer useful when, a 3-year-old comes up with a defense mechanism. When you're 30, it's not necessarily useful anymore. And especially not when you're 60 or 70 or whatsoever. So it's time to release that and really get free of that. It's almost the other image that came for me is you're sitting in a boat on the holding on to the shore, and the change is sort of asking you to cross the river and get to the other shore. And you have the choice. You can either let go of the shore and go into the river, allow the river to carry you, knowing that you will get to the other side and that the river is carrying the boat. And for me, it is worthwhile, as I said, it's worthwhile to let go of what was that is no longer serving. And it's really that knowledge that anytime something comes up in me, that it is another purging of old energies that are not mine, that are not supporting me, that are not allowing me to be who I truly am, to blossom. It's almost like there's always that lid on top of me if I don't deal with it. And I have learned, or I have gotten to the place where I no longer need to hold on to anything. I'm willing to let go. I don't need to hold on to even definitions and conclusions that I've had and assumptions that I have. I trust the river of life to carry me. It may not be smooth. It may be rough waters. Absolutely acknowledging that. But I always get out on the other side and ultimately feel better. And as I said, I woke up the next day wondering, did yesterday happen? And it's been a while since that experience. And the energy around how I look at my parents, and when I think back to some of the experiences that came up for me, they're there is no drama anymore. Yeah, I know it happened, and yeah, it's that dramatic experience, that meaning that, oh God, I've been injured, and that is all gone. So I invite you to stay aware and to become conscious of the process and start with little steps. It's not every time that we need to do big steps, that we need to jump. We can tippy toe. And the more you're willing to tippy toe, at least that's true for me, the more you learn, oh, I'm okay. Oh, I'm okay again. I'm okay again. And you start trusting in the front and are willing to let go of the shore and cross that river of change. So let me know how this is for you, uh, being a little bit more personal without going into, oh God, bloody, bleeding all over you. Uh, and get in touch with me and let me know if there are other things that you'd be interested in, that I talk about. And I wish you the very best. Next week, I will be interviewing a friend who talks about being an introvert and getting to the place of thoroughly enjoying liquor. How about that? Take care. Bye bye.